A little yellow.
Hello, Status Coup. It is Monday, September 22nd, 2025 in the United Corporations of America. A big day for all. So much carnage and misery happening everywhere. I think it's accurate to call the events of yesterday out west a Christian revival Super Bowl for the dearly departed Charlie Kirk. I say that sarcastically, but it's really fucking scary if you watch it, and we will watch some of it. Also, not really getting much attention in the news, Zaina, but we kind of are in the midst of a artificial intelligence apocalypse that is going to swallow or is already swallowing us all whole. It's kind of like the calm before the storm, I think, where there was some people warning that the housing market was going to collapse like a year or two before it happened. I feel like there's some people warning like, hey, all of these data centers and, NVIDIA putting $100 million into ChatGPT, which was announced today. And, companies laying off or not hiring. It's kind of coming for all of us. But the corporate media, as we're going to show you, can't really be bothered by such thing. They don't really care because it's not going to take their jobs yet. But first, some good news for once. 500,000 subscribers we reached a couple hours ago. So super excited to share that news. 500,000, huge accomplishment. It has not been easy. If you haven't noticed, I'm sure you have, Zaina. The amount of noise, I call it, on YouTube has increased over the years. Everybody and their mother and their dog has a YouTube channel. Some of that is good. A lot of it is bad. And people are inundated with podcasts, food fights, debate bros, culture. In our little sandbox, a lot of it is just kind of a lot of channels doing the same exact shit as everybody else. Not a whole lot of independent outlets, truly independent outlets, and not a lot of outlets out there that actually do like actual journalism. And doing actual journalism on YouTube actually is not the most profitable thing. We kind of make the decision to probably make less than we could or do worse than we could if we just did kind of like shock jock kind of clickbaity stuff all day long every day. If we did that, we'd probably be at a couple million subscribers by now. But doing water contamination, communities being poisoned, environmental genocide, corporate corruption, these things, for whatever reason, I wonder why, don't exactly get recommended as much as other kind of slop, food fight, infotainment, sensationalist content. So that is to say, it's not easy when actually doing substantive journalism to grow on YouTube. So that's why 500,000 subscribers is amazing. And it's not easy to grow. Like for a smaller channel starting out, it's very hard to grow. It's hard to grow a couple dozen subscribers a day or a week in the beginning. So thanks to everybody who's made it happen, particularly the audience. I don't want to go too crazy because it's not our end goal. We have bigger numbers that we want to hit, and more so than the numbers, bigger actual results. We're not doing this to hit numbers. I'm doing this to wake up the masses. I'm doing this to, for the life of me, put some corrupt people in jail. If I could get one, I'd be very happy. And to give a voice or help give a voice to those that don't get that voice in traditional media, corporate media, even independent media. I'm proud of how many just normal, everyday people we have interviewed, not in focus groups, not in poll tested bullshit, but on the streets, at protests, in communities that never get that microphone from corporate media and even independent media. And there's times I've felt it, you've felt it, where you kind of wonder, what am I doing this for? Like we're putting all this energy in and we're getting like 3,000 views on a video, or, it's not reaching as many eyeballs as we want it to. But then you see the comments from the audience. My wife thinks I read the comments for my ego, maybe partially, but I read the comments. I read the comments more to have that reminder of that this matters to people. What we're doing matters to people, particularly the on the ground reporting, and they depend on it because there's so few others doing it. So that's my long-winded monologue of saying thank you. We're not stopping. We want to continue. But 500,000 is really great. Thank you, Colin. Thank you, John Farina behind the camera, who a lot of those subscribers came when he was on the ground. Thank you, Michelle, who's our new producer. Thank you, Zaina and Ron and Tina, who have all contributed in many ways. We actually have a new reporter starting next week. I'll have an announcement on that later in the week. And there's been a lot of other people that, sorry if I'm forgetting names, who helped us from the beginning. And particularly the OG people in the chat, the Chris Garretts, the Pauls, who unfortunately passed away. So many of our core members, Mike from Germany. I mean, there's so many people who have been here from day one. So anyway, Zaina, your thoughts before I go on.
500K is amazing. I know. And it was just 2 years ago that we were at 245, 2.5 years ago. So
actually, I didn't realize. Do you know that literally a year ago we hit, not like a year and a month ago, we hit 200,000. So we have grown 300,000 in about a year and a month, which is pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. We're doing something right. YouTube giveth, YouTube taketh away. It's very frustrating when, all of a sudden you feel like you broke through and you're growing finally, and you see the comments like, why did I never see this channel? It suddenly appeared. We got so many of those, particularly when we started covering the Luigi Mangione case. And then for some reason, YouTube kind of clutches back down on you. And all of a sudden, you're not reaching people, and you get those comments again like, hey, this is the first time I've seen you in months. You disappeared. I don't know why YouTube. I think I know why YouTube does what it does. But either way, we're grateful. And sorry, I interrupted you. Go on.
Oh, no, just going to say thank you to everyone. I'm so glad to see the channel growing. Very excited to see it hit 500,000. And so many new people getting what is left out of the mainstream media. So we're going to be covering things today, aggregating it for you, things that are, they usually ending out the show with what Jordan's gathered of things that are usually pretty much ignored and put to the wayside.
So let's start. I got to tell you, I didn't watch most of this, but I've seen the clips. We've all probably seen like these kind of grifter Sunday morning church shows back in the day, or Joel Osteen, who's a big grifter but is risen to fame with his mega church Sunday shows.
I just finished watching The Righteous Gemstones.
Yeah,
so I'm going to figure it's similar energy. I'm going to be seeing if I spot Baby Billy out there.
I was about to say Righteous Gemstones, for those of you who have seen. It's a great show on HBO. That's kind of it's kind of a comedy, but it's so spot on of these grifter. I mean, church is big business in America. It has become big business in America. Religion, and I could go 5 hours on that. And happy Jewish holidays to my fellow tribe members. By the way, if I look kind of spotty, it's because I just turned 39 2 days ago, and apparently my body can't handle alcohol. So that's why my eyes look red, and I'm badly hungover just from Saturday, which was only like 3 beers. And
welcome
maybe like
to middle age and fatherhood.
Yeah, my birthday was Saturday. I had like 3 beers, maybe a shot or two, and I'm just unwell 2 days later. So anyway, but I'm all for having a memorial for this man. We've made our Charlie Kirk. We've made our thoughts on him while he was alive very clear. But this was not a memorial. Let's be clear. This was a politically weaponized Christian nationalist revivalist Super Bowl. And before I start to show the clips, I just want to show, because as the backdrop of this, all of the pretense that was out there from these fanatics giving their speeches yesterday, some of them literally plagiarizing from Joseph Goebbels, I do not exaggerate, was that the war has started and we're on the righteous side, we're on the Christian side against them. Well, at the same time, no evidence has been found of ties between Charlie Kirk shooter and left-wing groups. So they declared this the radical left wing before the suspect was even found. Well, as of now, this is from NBC, no evidence found yet of ties from Kirk shooting and left-wing groups, as Trump is literally declaring Antifa a terrorist group, even though it's not a group. 3 people familiar with the federal probe into Kirk's assassination told NBC News that investigators have yet to find a link between the alleged shooter and left-wing groups. The federal investigation into the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk has yet to find a link between the alleged shooter, Tyler Robinson, and left-wing groups on which President Trump and his administration have pledged to crack down after the killing. One person familiar with the federal investigation said, quote, "Thus far, there's no evidence connecting the suspect with any left-wing groups. Every indication so far is that this was one guy who did one really bad thing because he found Kirk's ideology personally offensive." Well, Zaina, let's not let facts get in the way of this, big business Christian revivalist slash politics weaponization. I also want to show, because I think it's kind of scandalous, the Department of Justice scrubbed a study showing right-wing violent attacks outpace all other extremism. So around the same time that Kirk's killing happened, and you had the right wing already declaring it a left-wing radical, the DOJ mysteriously erased this study, basically showing that the bulk of the extreme violence, political violence, comes from right-wingers. So this is the backdrop. So if facts mattered, you would think, all right, they're going to have a memorial. They'll talk about whatever they thought were the great things about Charlie Kirk, his legacy. Oh, that certainly wasn't the tone I got from most of it. Let's start whatever. I'd like you to start with Benny Johnson. He's a right-wing host, a grifter. He went down to Alligator Alcatraz, proudly wearing an Alligator Alcatraz hat, kind of hawking them.
Alligator Alcatraz merch and selling it. Sadistic.
Yeah. But this is like, I don't care. Like, I'm not mocking anyone if you're religious. There might be people in our audience that are Christian. God bless you. No problem with that. But it should have no place in government. And if you watch these speeches, I've seen some scary shit in my day out there reporting. This shit is how it starts wars. It starts domestic crackdowns on political opponents, on religious opponents. Let's play Benny Johnson.
The Apostle Paul describes how God establishes the rulers of the nations. In the audience right now, there are rulers of our land. Represented right here is the State Department, the Department of War, the Department of Justice, the Chief Executive. God has instituted them. God has given them power over our nation and our land. God saved our president, President Trump, from an assassin's bullet for this moment. And what does the Apostle Paul in Romans say about a godly leadership? He says that rulers wield the sword for the protection of good men and for the terror of evil men. May we pray that our rulers here, rightfully instituted and given power by our God, wield the sword for the terror of evil men in our nation, in Charlie's memory. I want to live in a country where the evil are terrified and where the good and the faithful and the moral people of our nation can live in peace, debate in peace, disagree in peace, and start families in peace. And so we want to thank the administration for being here and carrying out that godly mission of wielding the sword against evil. In conclusion,
Colin, did you get a chance to get the siren sound effect? I said to Colin, we're going to need something here because there is some real scary shit being said. First of all, I love this theme about evil men, because every one of those evil men, and by the way, there were some evil women in there too. Linda McMahon, wife of Vince McMahon, who, was basically trafficking employees of the WWF and sexually assaulting them. But anyway, if they're so
there support Israel's genocide, that the UN has declared a genocide. If that's not evil, I don't know what is.
But when he's talking about evil men, and the party that they are, doing their little Jesus revival dance there for are the ones that are blocking the release of the Epstein files. So in one breath, you're all standing up here talking about good versus evil, and thank you to our dear leaders who were brought to us from God, and God derived our dear leaders here, Pete Hegseth, who cheats on his wife, and Marco Rubio, who's a spineless little shit, and all of them who are out there. But you're blocking the release of information that could reveal and expose a whole lot of evil men. And you want to sit here and weaponize Jesus? I mean, I'm not religious, but I know a little bit about it. I mean, everything that Jesus stood for, if you believe that sort of thing, these people are the antithesis of that.
Yep.
And by the way, there's plenty of awful Democrats too. But the people that are specifically there, Trump was there, Vance was there, Hegseth was there. They all spoke. We'll show some of it. I mean, it's crazy. And he's really talking about, I was getting like a feudal society vibe. Is what Benny Johnson was talking about.
It was very 1930s. It was very birth of a nation kind of rhetoric, very colonial rhetoric. And one thing that I want to note is when Benny Johnson is saying this stuff, most of you guys that are watching right now, the folks watching this video, he's not talking about you. He's talking about a certain subsect of people. And it was fascinating to me how he contradicted himself in the middle of it. The initial rhetoric was all violence, and then he shifted to, we need peace. We need to be able to debate in peace. After calling violence, basically violence against his political enemies.
Yeah. And by the way,
it makes you do a 180 in a matter of like a 1.5 minute clip.
By the way, like I always say, we're celebrating 500,000 subscribers today, but to be clear, we would have hit probably 5 million by now if I would have just picked a side. If we would have just been like a Democratic Party dick sucker channel since 2000, we started in 2018, or went right wing. There have been some left channels.
The Status Coup.
Yeah, there have been some left channels who kind of went to the right. Who do very well because it's more profitable. The algorithm likes more just tribalism and, either pick a side. So a lot of people come here because they see something and they think like, oh, we're anti-Democrat. That means we're Trump supporters. And then I do a video shitting on Trump and they're like, unsubscribed. And then vice versa. We've had some MSNBC refugees come here thinking we're like vote blue no matter who, sycophants. And then I shit on Democrats and they're like, unsubscribe. I say all this because we should also, although I can't say the Democrats have jumped to this level of fascism and Christian nationalism, we should be clear. A lot of this is on the Democratic Party. Merrick Garland could have prosecuted Donald Trump, the former Attorney General, for January 6th, which to me was an attempted coup, an attempted insurrection. He didn't. He delayed to the point of getting a special prosecutor, and then Trump, with his money and the lawyers, were able to delay. And now he's not going down for any of it, including stealing classified documents, this and that. There's been a lot of examples of Democrats, when they had the power, could have criminalized criminal behavior. I'm talking about Obama too, who let George W. Bush and all his lackeys have a pass for lying us into a war that we're still paying for 20 years later. So what you're seeing, you'll get the fundraising emails now from Democrats, oppose fascism, give us $5, but they enable a lot of that. That doesn't mean,
or they perpetuate it themselves. I mean,
right.
The 62 RICO charges against Stop Cop City protesters happened under Joseph Biden, when Joe Biden extended what the definition was of quote unquote domestic terrorism and focused more on people organizing that were organizing against fascism, organizing against corporations, organizing against genocide and violence. So,
right,
happened in the last admin. They helped set the stage for this.
Let me give a shout out, by the way. It's important. While I say thank you for the 500,000 subscribers, we're also trying to grow our paid membership, because that's how we're going to continue to fund the on-the-ground reporting. John was just on the ground in D.C. the other day covering a big veterans rally. And then Saturday, we were the only ones I know of broadcasting live the Make Billionaires Pay March, there was 200 protests all over the country on Saturday, which just happened to be my birthday, 39 years young. So feel free to leave a super chat to the company, not me, for
Some
my birthday.
Really interesting interviews.
Yes.
Especially at that rally. I watched quite a bit of it, and that was some of the most fun interviews or interesting interviews that I've seen recently. Yeah. Great job to John on the ground.
So he was on the ground Saturday, and we're going to Chicago this week. Unless something significantly changes, we're planning to go on the ground in Chicago. If you haven't seen, Trump's Gestapo ICE troops are just doing unspeakable things. They attacked a congressional candidate the other day, threw her to the ground. They've been tear gassing, rubber bullets, what we saw in LA towards protesters. So we're going to get on the ground there. So that's why, as much as I appreciate everyone who has subscribed to the channel, for those that can do the $5 a month, that's how we support. We could have done something else over the last 7 years. That's how long it took to get to 500,000 subscribers. Could have sold out. I could have taken money. I had a couple offers from people that we don't want to take money from to give us the money we need, so we don't have to ask you for a thing, and we would just have the money. The problem is they wouldn't want us to go to Chicago to cover what the ICE thugs are doing. They wouldn't want us to go on the ground. We're trying to plan trips to cover the data centers that are popping up all over the country, which is why your electric bills are surging, to create artificial intelligence, which we're going to get to in the next topic. So please pitch it if you can. 16 cents a day. That's what $5 a month comes down to. All right. I want to show the next one, because as scary as Benny Johnson is, I give you Stephen Miller, Donald Trump's deputy chief of staff. Donald Trump infamously in his first term went through about 4 or 5 chiefs of staff. So if his main chief of staff leaves, she's just a dime a dozen Republican lobbyists, this would be the chief of staff. People have noted that what he said, which was disgusting at this memorial, literally sounds almost plagiarized from Joseph Goebbels. Let's play it.
The storm whispers to the warrior that you cannot withstand my strength. And the warrior whispers back, I am the storm. Erica is the storm. We are the storm. And our enemies cannot comprehend our strength, our determination, our resolve, our passion. Our lineage and our legacy hails back to Athens, to Rome, to Philadelphia, to Monticello. Our ancestors built the cities. They produced the art and architecture. They built the industry. Erica stands on the shoulders of thousands of years of warriors, of women who raised up families, raised up city, raised up industry, raised up civilization, who pulled us out of the caves and the darkness into the light. The light will defeat the dark. We will prevail over the forces of wickedness and evil. They cannot imagine what they have awakened. They cannot conceive of the army that they have arisen in all of us. Because we stand for what is good, what is virtuous, what is noble. And to those trying to incite violence against us, those trying to foment hatred against us, what do you have? You have nothing. You are nothing. You are wickedness, you are jealousy, you are envy, you are hatred. You are nothing. You can build nothing. You can produce nothing. You can create nothing. We are the ones who build. We are the ones who create. We are the ones who lift up humanity. You thought you could kill Charlie Kirk? You have made him immortal. You have immortalized Charlie Kirk. And now millions will carry on his legacy.
Your thoughts?
Plagiarizing Nazis? I'm not shocked. I mean, considering some of Stephen Miller's earliest writings. But something sticks out to me there too, on top of it, and that's the fact that this event was sponsored by TPUSA, Turning Points USA, which is a massive political organization. It has helped draft and push hundreds of pieces of legislation at state houses and federal legislation across the country. Not to mention, they have 2 websites there. He's talking about them coming after political enemies. They have 2 websites that's part of their overall website that are projects where people can put in the names of teachers, the names of professors, the names of school boards that are teaching kids anything that they don't like. So Accurate American History, that name can be submitted and that person can be doxxed before the kids even go into the classroom, attempting to get teachers and professors fired. They're talking about going against political enemies and TPUSA and doxing everything else. And TPUSA has an entire wing established that does exactly that and has been doing exactly that. And TPUSA is the org that Charlie Kirk founded in 2012 that is a massive, massive political machine. The fact that they're hosting this, like you said, it's like church, but it's not really church. This was a political rally, like you had said, and Nazi talking points. Horrifying ones.
And by the way,
you might as well have come up there with a tiki torch and said blood and soil. There's good people on both sides.
And by the way, just so we don't rewrite history, because I know there's a lot of like conservatives and even like liberal media, like reinventing Charlie Kirk as like the next coming of Jesus Nazareth, and he was a free speech warrior and all this. As I said before, I'll repeat, I don't condone targeting anyone politically. Don't condone killing anybody. That we should all, I hope, agree shouldn't have happened. And I feel for his family. But you could be honest about who someone is. He started this group not because he was some like entrepreneur 18-year-old. He got right-wing billionaire money. He convinced a bunch of right-wing billionaires, including several Zionists, to give him money. just like the Tea Party was not organic. Tea Party was not organic. It came from big right-wing groups. Just like he wasn't a free speech gladiator. He went to college campuses to pick on people smaller than him intellectually. Not that young people are stupid, but it's easy to go, argue with a college kid. When he went to argue
and manipulate.
Right. When he went to go debate young students in Great Britain, he got his ass handed to him because they were able to handle his deflection, misdirection, talking points, etc. So there's a couple things about this, but before I respond to what he said, I think it's important because, again, this didn't get a lot of attention. After Charlie Kirk was killed, I think it was the Oath Keepers, I might be wrong, one of these groups, or Proud Boys, Patriot Front started marching in Huntington Beach. Let's play that clip, what they were saying, Colin.
Fight back! Go get a gun, Brad! Go get a gun! Fight back! Fight back! Fight back! Fight back!
As the white population continues to be replaced with a population of non-white, non-South Americans who hate us, it becomes more and more dangerous for us here every day.
That group, Tina has covered them before out in California. They're one of these Oath Keepers, Proud Boys, got a mix of neo-Nazis, militiamen, white.
Cosplaying, militia. Yeah.
And they were also not in that clip. They were also chanting, "Say his name, Charlie Kirk," and holding his image of him. But what's so dangerous about what Stephen Miller was saying, and so disingenuous, they're trying to portray themselves as victims. These white nationalists like Stephen Miller, Benny Johnson, these right-wing grifters. They're trying to talk about the violence done to us. When you're using terms like our army and our battle cry, when you're directly talking to a very, very active group out there on 4chan, on Discord chats, on these right-wing militia groups, Tina and others, for a living are monitoring them. I have people in my life that do that for work. You're basically sending out the bat signal, Stephen Miller, I think deliberately, to create more violence.
Absolutely.
When you're talking about they killed Charlie Kirk. Who's they? Doesn't matter. They are literally basically setting out the bat signal to extremists and straight up Nazis to go target transgender people, even though I think it's still unclear what role, if any, that had to do with this. Antifa, which could be anyone really, anyone with a peace sign or an LGBTQ sign or a pro-civil rights sign, they could be Antifa. Hispanics, people who look immigrant, they're basically creating an us versus them at a point where the country is a powder keg. And then if there is more violence and it is a right-winger, they're just going to totally bury that, as they did when the person who went after Paul Pelosi was a MAGA guy. Charlie Kirk joked. I don't even know if he was joking. Oh, that guy should get out on bail. Trump barely said anything. He didn't call for the lowering of the flags when the Minnesota lawmaker was assassinated. So I just think this is very dangerous.
Sat down with JD Vance, and they specifically said, and this was before even the shooter was arrested. We didn't even know who the potential suspect could be. And they said that they were going to go after the groups and NGOs and nonprofits and organizing groups that were responsible. You don't even know who this person is, what happened. There's no foundational information. And the irony is, on the other side, when you have someone like the Pulse nightclub shooter, they'll say things like, this was one individual who had mental health issues. It's not because of any rhetoric or movement. It's just one person. The height of irony, but it's very dangerous because he sat down with the vice president. This is a member of Donald Trump's cabinet sitting down with the vice president on Charlie Kirk's show 2 days after he was shot, saying that they were going to go after left-wing organizations, and the left wing was essentially the cause of Charlie Kirk's death, with not even a suspect arrested yet.
And can I point out, unless I'm missing something, I don't see one Democratic Party leader in Congress going up to a microphone saying, we love the transgender community. We're with Black Lives Matter protesters. You could condemn what happened to Kirk, which they all have made sure to do 10 times over, but none of them are calling this out. None of them.
Instead, you have Ezra Klein writing articles saying that
Charlie Kirk practiced politics the right way.
The right way. This was the right way to do politics. I admire him. Heck, Gavin Newsom had him on his podcast on his first episode.
Right. Let's get to I think Pete Hegseth, the Fox News anchor / defense secretary. Let's play what he said.
Charlie Kirk, a patriot, a conservative, a leader, a builder, an advocate, an author, a lover of freedom, a husband, a father, a Christian, and a warrior. You see, Charlie Kirk was a true believer for the cause of freedom, for the power of young people, belief in our republic and our founding principles, in America first and make America great again. But more importantly, He was a true believer. Only Christ is King, our Lord and Savior. Our sins are washed away by the blood of Jesus. Fear God and fear no man. That was Charlie Kirk. You see, Charlie Kirk started Turning Point USA to change our politics. That's when I first met him over a decade ago. He was building a movement, and nobody worked harder at it. Bringing people to political small t truth. I still have the sticker. Big government sucks. And he pursued that truth with more vigor than anyone I've ever met. But over time, he realized, like so many of us have, that this is not a political war.
Big government sucks, Zaina.
Yeah,
Much
that's why
so.
he loves sending in the National Guard into cities to police them.
This is the biggest government we've had, since FDR, only for the worst. We're going to send the National Guard out for no reason so they can twiddle their thumbs in Washington, D.C. We've covered it on the ground. John Farina showed, literally military troops, hanging on railings at Union Square, doing nothing, talking amongst themselves about what they're going to order for lunch. Nothing. Arresting people at military checkpoints for, their tints being wrong on their car, or, their tail light being out. Just what we saw in LA, which we covered on the ground, Tina Desiree Berg. Big government sucks. Taking away women's rights to control their own bodies. The federal government doing that. I don't know. Big government sucks. Trying to deport anti-genocide protesters, declaring anyone who speaks ill of Israel, linked basically being one in supporters of terrorism, and you're going to have your passports revoked. This is big government on steroids.
The big, beautiful bill funding ICE to the point, I don't know why I'm doing this like I'm Trump, but the big, beautiful bill funding ICE to a greater extent than many Western countries. ICE's budget is larger than the militaries of several Western countries. Insanity.
Oh, we didn't even mention, which I still think is illegal, and hopefully if there's a truth and reconciliation after Trump is gone and we actually have an audit of all the illegal things, Elon Musk will go to jail. I think it's pretty big government to give the keys to the government to the world's richest man. Actually, he's number 2 now. Sorry, Elon. To basically steal all government data to enrich himself further. Who knows what he's done with our Social Security data and all the other shit he stole. We could go down the list of other horrible things. But everything they are saying, everything they are saying to, I'm sure there's plenty of good souls in that crowd, but let's just be honest, mindless sheep herd out there.
True.
It's ironic because they're literally it's all projection. Everything they're saying, it's all projection of who they are and what they're doing. It's just dangerous. It's just dangerous. And to be clear, they're basically reinventing who this man was. I'm sorry to say, Charlie Kirk was kind of just your dime a dozen political grifter. There's a lot of them. He was good at it, but he didn't do anything that I think was so positive. But they're using his tragic death, we agree it was tragic, basically to take the culture war and basically create culture World War III. They're trying to make the world war of all culture wars. And to be clear, who was it? Rahm Emanuel, who said, never let a tragedy or disaster go to waste. They're doing it to distract from the disaster that is the second Trump administration. The economy's in the shitter, which we're going to get to. The Epstein list, which he's still doing everything he can to change the subject from. The big, beautiful bank robbery bill, which they conveniently put in the Medicaid cuts to be after the 2026 midterms. They're doing everything they can to just distract their base.
Tariffs. job losses. We reported the other day, what was it? 920,000 less jobs created overall.
It's just crazy.
Staggering number.
Big government, somebody just reminded me, big government lets target comedians and pull them from the air because they don't like what they say. Speaking of Jimmy Kimmel, ABC, once their stock price went down and the big backlash happened against them for suspending Kimmel, he's going to be back on the air tomorrow. I'm sure.
Hey guys, boycotts can work.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Do it for other things that are important.
Yeah. So it's just honestly, I'm trying to keep it light, but a lot of these speeches are just downright scary. And Colin, I'd like to ask you, because you kind of grew up in a bit of a Christian cult environment. Somehow you got out of it. But does the speeches you're seeing kind of ring a bell to some of the things you saw as a kid?
Yeah. I mean, this it also is sort of like cookie cutter. Sorry, at a certain point, because you talk about the plagiarizing goals and stuff like that, but that's their whole MO is just plagiarizing other speeches, but putting a Christian twist on it somehow. So honestly, a lot of it, sounds familiar, like other Christian revivals, like you put it, I've been to in the past.
I mean, it's scary. Let's play. We got Hegseth. We got Miller. Let's say, this was really fucking creepy. This wasn't at this event. Did you see this AI Charlie Kirk piped into a church, Zaina?
I watched it just before the show. That was
all right. So now you have churches.
Nutty.
I mean, AI is bad enough for the living, but now they are resurrecting Charlie Kirk to send a message in churches. Watch this.
From the words of Charlie Kirk, I was so moved just to hear it between services. You're hearing something the first service didn't.
First, I want you to know I'm fine, not because my body is fine, but because my soul is secure in Christ. Death is not the end. It's a promotion. Don't waste 1 second mourning me. Double down on truth. Double down on courage. Double down on your faith and on your families. That is how you honor me. So dry your tears, pick up your cross, and get back in the fight. Do it with joy, do it with strength, and never ever let evil think it won.
I love you so much, church. I love you for things just like that.
The end of I love you so much, church. I love you for things just like that.
I don't know if I'm crying or laughing. That is so fucking disturbing.
It's great that they wasted like 3 gallons of water to get AI to manufacture that for them. Wow.
I'm
surreal.
I'm usually not at a loss for words, but I just can't say anything. It's very alarming. But then
I didn't know that ChatGPT had a direct line to the afterlife. That's interesting to know.
Well, if we get to it, our next story, OpenAI, NVIDIA just gave $100 billion to OpenAI. OpenAI creates ChatGPT. So maybe not only with this new investment, not only will you have Charlie Kirk resurrected, but an army of others with him piping into churches.
If I could talk directly to Elvis.
Yes. Smash that like button, share this live stream, keep the super chats coming. And remember, we need to grow. We're in studio now, but we're trying to get back on the ground. We did a poll the other day just asking, hey, what would make the folks that aren't yet paying members sign up as a member? Would it be more exclusive content, more members only content, more quantity of content, meaning more videos, more Substack articles, yada, yada, yada. And the overall number one was more content. But after that was just people saying, I would do it if I had the money, just talking about how bad the economy is. So we totally understand for those that can't do it, no worries. But for those that can, if you got the $5 a month, you could support us as low as $5 a month. That's 16 cents a day. That's how we're getting back on the ground this week. Like I said, we just covered those protests over the weekend. The protests in D.C., the Make Billionaires Pay protest in New York, which had, I believe, a couple thousand people out there. These are all events that have no coverage. Literally, no national media is covering it. No independent media other than like some, documentary filmmakers. You wouldn't even know it's happening if not for us being out there, and you're making that happen. And us going
we were hoping we could potentially get to Memphis. And
Right.
One of the things that's interesting about Memphis is that Trump just did his memorandum to send National Guard to Memphis, but that there's protests that are brewing there over Elon Musk's AI center that's polluting neighborhoods. So I think that's, to me, that I raised my eyebrows at the fact that they chose Memphis when there's a stop cop city like momentum growing there to stop this AI center for Grok from stealing their water and poisoning their air and water tables.
And there's protests, by the way, popping up throughout the country against these data centers, which are basically like the new military bases in community after community. And a lot of military bases have poisoned communities around the country with foam, highly cancer-causing chemicals found in that foam that seeped into the wastewater. And these data centers are surging electrical bills for Americans all over the country. And then people wonder, then Republicans are putting out things on social media. Democrats are, responsible for your surging electrical bills. No, billionaires are. And the politicians selling the land to billionaires like Elon Musk, and Meta has a big one they're opening in Louisiana, also known as Cancer Alley. This is drying up water wells all over the country and surging electrical, because literally the amount of watts and kilowatts that need to be used at these data centers is more than a lot of like small countries. So I want to, we reached out to Kat Abu Ghaz. I can't pronounce her last name. We're waiting to hear back for an interview with her. She's running for Congress and was manhandled by ICE. So let's show you Trump, who clearly cares so much about Charlie Kirk. Trump comes to Charlie Kirk's memorial, does like a weird dance next to his mourning wife, and then does his political vengeance speech. And slips in that Tylenol in pregnant women that take Tylenol causes autism. It was the most bizarre. Even for Trump, this was very bizarre. Let's play that.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much, and good luck. God be with you. Thank you.
So that was some of it. I'm not going to get into his wife. I'll leave that alone.
She is now the CEO of Turning Points USA. So we have to remember, all that I'll say about that is that now that she is the CEO of this massive wing of the Republican Party responsible for numerous amounts of legislation, policies, all the other things TPUSA does, I'm not going to feel she's above scrutiny once she starts doing that work. I'm sorry.
Right.
Despite the tragedy, And what happened with her family if she's continuing this work and she's the CEO now of this organization, she will not, in my mind, be above scrutiny for that work she'll be doing.
And I'll just say, everybody mourns in their own way. I fortunately have never lost anyone that close to me. But I don't, if somebody as close to me as my spouse was taken in such a way, I wouldn't want their memorial to be a political rally. I can tell you that. I would not want their memorial to be a political rally.
So
I'd want their family and friends to speak. And I'd want the speeches to be about them, not, a political army and us versus them and all this. But the point is, this is who he married. She's a fellow traveler. So she wants this. She wants this to be weaponized. That doesn't take away from her grief. It's legit, and I feel for her and her kids. But they want to use this as one big culture war to distract from everything else, and it's effective. It is effective. Let's be honest. That arena was packed. There was, I believe, at least 100,000 people I saw quoted out there. But it's dangerous. We're supposed to have a separation of church and state, but that is being thrown out the door along with many other norms. Let's also play, Colin, if you have Trump talking about whatever other clip we have of Trump.
In that private moment on his dying day, we find everything we need to know about who Charlie Kirk truly was. He was a missionary with a noble spirit and a great, great purpose. He did not hate his opponents. He wanted the best for them. That's where I disagreed with Charlie. I hate my opponent, and I don't want the best for them. I'm sorry. I am sorry, Erica. But now Erica can talk to me and the whole group, and maybe they can convince me that that's not right, but I can't stand my opponent.
Well, first of all, that's just not true. He didn't want what's best for his opponent. He openly mocked, black pilots, saying he wasn't comfortable with getting on a plane if the pilot was black. He said that
called for public execution of leftists. That is a direct quote from him. And that children over the age of 12 should witness it so that they will know not to do whatever commie socialist thing he was speaking against. That's scary. That's scary. But yeah, Charlie Kirk did sadly called for public executions. Something
I think he said black women didn't have the brain processing power for certain things. Hateful against transgender people. This was not like somebody was like, we just have minor disagreements. He villainized who he deemed to be his enemies. And then you have Trump there basically making it about Trump. Other things Trump said was getting into how great his tariffs are and linking Tyler. We have a big announcement about autism coming out, which is today. Basically just hackery bullshit science like everything else that's coming from RFK. Linking
RFK Jr. just trying to redeem himself since he's had this crusade, and he peddled the narrative that vaccines cause autism that has been widely and effectively debunked by the medical community.
It's really scary, and honestly, I hate to say this, but I think I have good instincts politically. And for politics, I think we're going to have more violence because of yesterday. I think there are people right now who are doing what the Charlie Kirk shooter was doing 2 weeks ago, which is becoming radicalized or having their, whatever instability they have or mental health issues or just downright seeped in this conspiracism and whatever they're steeped in. And it takes that one moment to make the decision to put it in action. And I think there are people since the Charlie Kirk assassination, mostly right-wingers, to be honest, that are being radicalized by this call, them and they and, the army, get your army out. And Alex Jones doing what Alex Jones does. And this Christian revivalist Super Bowl of yesterday. And I think they sent out the bat signal. And I think, unfortunately, you're going to see people out there. It might not be as big as what happened, at a crowded college debate, but you're going to see more right-wing violence against local politicians, potentially media they don't like. I hope it doesn't happen. I mean, I go out there. I don't want to be in the bullseye. Nobody does. But this is what they're doing. That's the end result.
And for state-sanctioned violence, for the state-sanctioned initiatives to put National Guard boots on the ground in cities, to crack down on campuses, I would not be surprised if we see in the future and in the very near future something similar to a Kent State situation where National Guard are brought in for campus protests. That's something I worry about, that Trump has spoken openly about multiple times. He fomented that National Guard should have been brought in for the pro-Palestine anti-genocide protest. So, that's something that I wouldn't be surprised if we do see that in the near future.
And by the way, now it's official. U.S. government advises pregnant women to avoid Tylenol over fears of autism. No link to that. And I don't know if Trump was joking about this or he's serious, but now he's talking about changing the recommendation for kids to get the hepatitis B shot from
that's not great.
Right when they're born or the first few months to when they're 12, which is scary.
Mm-hmm.
Hepatitis B you could pick up in the hospital. I mean, you have no immune system when you're first born.
And none of this is founded science. They launched this quote unquote supposed investigation just a few months ago.
I want to also point out this is having downstream effects. This is the article. State lawmakers file legislation to build Charlie Kirk memorial plazas on public college campuses.
Oh, man.
An Oklahoma Republican senator filed legislation Wednesday to honor conservative activist Charlie Kirk, who was fatally shot during an appearance at Utah Valley University. Senator Shane Jett, chair of Oklahoma Freedom Caucus, filed 3 pieces of legislation honoring Kirk. A proposed bill would establish Kirk's birthday, October 14th, as Charlie Kirk Free Speech Day. Oh, my God. Unless you're an anti-genocide protester. Another bill would require a memorial for Kirk on public college campuses, and a resolution would officially honor. I mean, honestly, at this point, Zaina, who knows? They might, Trump and them, they might want to rename airports after this man. Federal holiday, and only let conservatives off work. It's really, I mean, the extreme makeover of this man's legacy, whatever you think. I mean, again, can't condone what happened to him, but it's beyond the pale what's going on. And I really think bad things are going to come from this, because what we saw yesterday in this memorial, which again was not a memorial, is only the beginning. And they're going to ramp this up, this kind of like Christian white nationalism, mixing in kind of neo-Nazism. To be clear, Trump had dinner with Nick Fuentes, the straight up neo-Nazi, at Mar-a-Lago before he won re-election. Trump infamously, when he was running in 2016, pretended he didn't know who David Duke was, who praised him. So this is somebody, Trump has basically been playing footsie with neo-Nazis and white supremacists forever. When he debated, was it Biden? Biden. He told the Proud Boys, stand back and stand by. And Tina always says, sometimes I think she's joking, but now I'm not so sure. The Civil War's coming, Jordan. John says it too. The next Civil War is coming. It might not look like it did in the 19th century, but what they're doing is going to stoke more armed violence and political terrorism. And the problem is they are in control. So when that happens, they get to create whatever narrative they want. And they're trying to crack down on the media to basically report it or both sides it when it happens. I don't have a lot of nice things to say about CNN. MSNBC, the New York Times, Washington Post. Status Coup exists because the corporate media is so terrible. And frankly, independent media doesn't do great investigative or on-the-ground journalism. That's why we exist. But the government targeting, these frivolous lawsuits against all of these news outlets for simply reporting the truth on Trump. This is how Hitler came to power. And it's kind of fascism 101. Crackdown on dissent, crackdown on media, even crackdown on comedians and free speech. This is what they did in Nazi Germany. Now,
and it's not just, and we'll be talking about them. We have a clip from Sam Altman, but it is not just the right-wing TPUSA guys that are involved in this. It's the techno bros. It's the Curtis Yarvins. It's the Peter Thiels. It's these moguls as well. So Turning Point USA is just one facet of a multitude of wealthy people that are angling to, and oligarchs and others that are angling to secure themselves, as they have ruined our planet and robbed us blind. And they know that we are to the point where people are fed up. We're about to discuss how we're about to have mass layoffs, where our economy is tanking. And fascism goes hand in hand with that, because they got to have that crowd control, right? They don't want another Battle of Blair Mountain on their hands, where the coal miners marched up 11,000 strong up a mountain to fight the coal companies. They don't want to see that kind of organizing, and they don't want to see that kind of response. I'm trying to get out in front of it. And one of the best ways they can get out in front of it is to foment division between us in the ways that they are.
I went way over on this, so I have to go because I got to go to Jewish holiday dinner. This is my contribution to being a Jew. I go to dinner twice a year. So you could stay on if you want to cover other things or just talk to the audience. I'll do the AI topic another day because I want to do a deep dive. But what we were going to get to basically is Morning Joe did a segment. AI was mentioned as like the main driver of job loss and this and that. And Morning Joe was just kind of, that's too bad. Moving on now. And then the other links. I mean, AI, honestly, like we are in the pre-2008, 2009 financial crash territory where there was a few people screaming like the British are coming, and warning. And basically everyone just ignored them, or not everyone, the elites ignored them. And that's where we are now. I think the AI apocalypse is here. I don't think it's going to be 5 years. I think we're talking a year to 2 years before real bad mass unemployment, or just full-timers being knocked down to part-timers, or, the gig economy explodes more and we just become a bunch of Uber drivers, serfs. And the economic data every day that's coming out is alarming. But I got a jet. If you could stick around, read the super chats, all that. Again, Absolutely. Thank you to everybody. 500,000 subscribers. Please sign up if you can. StatusCoup.com/join. Onward.
See you soon, Jordan. Happy belated birthday. So one of the things that Jordan mentioned before we get into the super chats was that NVIDIA is set to invest $100 million in OpenAI. And something that I remember us covering back in September of last year, I believe it was that the DOJ was actually investigating NVIDIA for exclusive use, for monopolization, for cornering the market. So I wonder, under the Trump administration, if that investigation is still open. And I would have to look into it, but something tells me that it very well might not be. But yeah, we can hop into super chats. Tanette Landon. What will it take for any country to forcefully reckon with the IDF? The genocide has gone on far too long. And thank you so much, Tanette. And thank you for being a member for more than 2 years. That's awesome. I completely agree. You know, the U.S. just vetoed a United Nations resolution once again. The U.S. has been and is increasingly even more so a pariah state. At this point, we are the United States government, and that I include Congress in this. The majority of Congress are complicit with what is happening. As far as what will it take, many countries are trying to do what they can. The global Samud flotilla is nearing Gaza, so keep an eye out for what happens with that, because there are dozens of countries involved, more than 45 ships at least in that flotilla. So going to be keep an eye on that closely as well. But completely agree. And with the United States exclusive veto power in the UN, it seems it's at a standstill to stop this, which is horrifying. Oh, Tanette Landon. And thank you so much for another super chat. Thank you for all of your efforts. Our nation needs your true journalism. Thank you so much, Tanette. And thank you so much for your support. Brian Todd gifted one Status Coup News membership. Thank you so much, Brian. That's always awesome when someone gifts out memberships. We really appreciate it. Gene Schwartz, thank you so much for your super chat. You have a unique concept and you are appreciated. Thank you, Gene. Thank you for your support. And also congrats to Status Coup for reaching 500,000 subscribers. And thank you to all the subscribers that join us live, that watch the content, that share, that engage with us. I always love reading the chats every day. And as Jordan said, I love seeing the familiar faces as well. So thank you guys for all of your support. Sliced Bread, thank you so much for your super sticker. Tony D, hey Tony. YouTube didn't notify me you were live again. Thrilled you're at 500K finally. Happy B-Day to Jordan. My B-Day is in 3 days. Well, happy B-Day, Tony. Love you, Jordan and Zaina. Thank you so much, Tony, for all of your support. Awesome as always. Tommy Z-Cat. Z-Cat used to be a nickname of mine, so that's interesting. So Tommy Z-Cat, whatever you choose to do, keep a hold of your integrity and sanity, because all the growth is nothing if SCN just goes the way of so many other outlets. Thanks for helping keeping me sane. Community. Thank you so much, Tommy. And keeping our sanity, we try really hard with that. Keeping our integrity is a little bit easier than keeping our sanity. But thank you so much. And thank you so much for your support. And is that all of them today?
Yep, that was all of them.
All right. Well, also, congratulations, Colin, on all your hard work. Colin is always behind the scenes, gathering everything together. So he is amazing. But have a great day. And if you guys can, please donate at statuscoup.com/join. As Jordan said, 16 cents a day will help keep our trains rolling on the track. So thank you guys so much.